Hi, welcome back. What we're going to do today is what I've been threatening to do for a while, which is to convert the two rail or loco to a three rail Hornby. So what I always do first, because if you go ahead and just fit things, it's nice to know that the loco was working before you ever touched it. So what I've got a small gauge master controller with a couple of leads coming off, and they have crocodile clips and two brass brushes, which I use to clean the wheels. But I can also use it to test that the locos are working. So this is the two rail loco. So I'm just going to put one brush on one wheel and one on the other. And as you can see in here, it's working. And of course with the three rail, slightly different. All I need to do is put that on one wheel and on the spoons in the middle. So one wheel, spoons. There again, both locos are fully working, so we know that. I'll just turn the controller off while I'm not using it. Okay, so we need to just proceed now. So all I need to do is work on the two rail one. I use a kind of a box to really stop it falling over. You might not be able to see if I do it in that, so I'll just put it here and I can show you the bits as we go. Right, the way to take these four MTs apart, first of all you have to remove the front pony. It's just held on by one screw. Take my trusty screwdriver and undo the front. And once that's out of the way, it then exposes the main screw, which just holds the body to the chassis. It's that simple. So I'll put them in the box so we don't lose them. And then you can see up inside here, that's the main screw, which holds the chassis to the body. So we'll set about unscrewing that. Drop that off. And we can now take the top off, and then it's a very simple chassis. You've got the two magnets, well the magnets in the middle there actually, and then the two bits going round the armature in the middle. On these new ones you've got an L and an R, so it just shows left and right. Obviously the actual magnet has got the bit with the north and south, and some people use an actual compass to find out which is north and south, to find out which way round, because if you get the actual magnet the wrong way round and you put two locos on the track, one's got the magnet one way and one's got, when you turn the controller they would go in opposite directions and not the same direction. So yes, so if you've got a loco that does go the wrong way, you need to turn the magnet round to make it go the other way. So that's it. So it's very simply wired inside. You've got the brushes coming into the centre, and these silver bits connect into the brushes. A simple suppressor, probably not so relevant these days with the modern type televisions, but with the old type televisions you used to get lots of interference. So I leave everything as it is because it's on there, so we might as well use it. Right, the next thing to do is to take off this modification which turns it into the two rail. So again, there's two screws holding that on. So I'm just unscrewing that now. Take them out. I put them in the box. I like to keep things in a box, otherwise they roll on the floor and you never find them again. So that's it. Right, now you find that that is connected to a wire, and that wire just goes up. The green wire goes up, connects onto the suppressor, and then goes through to the brush going to the motor. So of course I don't need that on there, so I can just snip that off. So I'll get my trusty cutters from up there. Excuse me, moving across the screen. I forgot to get them before we started, but there you go. Right, so a pair of side cutters and just snip I leave a little bit of wire on there so that if I want to convert another loco from a 3 rail to a 2 rail, I can just use this on it. So that can just go in there, and that will just go in my bits box later on. I'll pull that green wire right the way through now, and we don't need that for this moment in time. Now, what I'll do now is I'll turn this board over flat. This is actually a jig that I use for forming the roofs on coaches. When you push the coach down, it curves the wood. I'll show you that on another. I have a coach kit to build at some point, so we can have a go at that then. Right, this is the spoons that we're going to connect. It falls to pieces, so it's always in bits. The actual insulator that's in there, I've used it for something else and it's been cut down, but it should be okay for this. As long as this doesn't touch the actual chassis, then it won't short out. So what we need to do then is to pull that up. We need to put the spoon in, and there is a spring in there as well, and the spring helps to hold the spoon. So this is the tricky bit actually. That's it, get it like that, under there, that's it. So the wire, the spring wire comes above the top of it, which will push the spoon back each time. You can hear it pinging like that. So that's where you need the spring. You need about 7 hands for this, but we just have to make do with what we got, really, to get that to go in there. Right, that's good. Right, so the next spoon, pick that up, feed it underneath the little spring wire, and then push the spoon so it goes in the clicks. Right, so we got that to there. Now the next thing to do is, you can see the big hole in the middle of the loco. You just push that all up inside there and just hold it. You've got to hold it, because if you don't hold it, it will all fall apart. Move the wires out the way for a moment, like that. And then you have another insulator which goes on top like this. That's good. And there's a little peg to stop it from moving, 2 little pegs. So you can see that it's actually designed for that. And then a nut which goes on. I'm going to do the nut up because obviously I want to hold it all together, so when I take my finger off, the whole thing doesn't fall to pieces. So that's what we're going to do. I've done 2 or 3 locos now, where I've converted them from 2 rail to 3, because I like the 3 rail. It's just, I don't know, I like the sound of it. Just when it's bombing round, it's very noisy, but it's just good fun. Right, so I'll tighten that up a bit. See if the spoon moves. It springs up and down. It's not fouling the wheels or anything like that. And it's still on the insulation block. Right, so there's only one thing left to do now, and that is to connect that on to there. So we need to just peel off a little bit of wire so that we can see what's happening. So I'll do that. That's it, just peel off a bit of wire like so. That's it. That's it, got a piece of wire off there like that. Now what I want to do then is to attach that to this centre block. So what I aim to do is to just file a little bit on the top of that screw, or on the nut itself, because the nut is brass, and I can just solder direct to that. So what we need is a little file, which I have here. So a little file, just give it a little file up to clean up the metal, like so. Blow the dust away. That's it. Okay, now soldering iron, I always use a gas one like this. Just runs on a butane gas. Hopefully it's going to light first time. Yep, you can always hear it when it's going. And you get a kind of a red glow inside, so you know it's working. I use them quite a bit, they're quite handy. So there we are. I've got to find an old paintbrush and put just a tiny little bit of flux on that to clean any dirt off. So I just find one of my old paintbrushes, which I've got loads and loads of, and put a bit of flux on. That's it. And all the flux does is just kind of burn off any impurities, which stops the solder from running, because you do need the solder to stick. So I'll just put the lid on things, because otherwise you'll knock it over and I would then get into trouble. So there we are. See how the solder's going now. Just touch a little bit on the tip to see if it's beginning to melt, which it is, but I don't think we're quite up to temperature yet. We are a bit there. Right, so I'm just going to tin the wire. And tinning is only just getting a piece of solder really to just stick to the wire. It just burns off any impurities that's on the wire. Doesn't seem to want to stick very well, but it's possibly an old piece of wire. So just get that to there. See if we can get a little bit onto the screw itself. Once we can get a piece to stick to that, which I think we've got a bit to stick to the nut, like that. See what's happening. Really need a new tip for this. Right, we've got a little bit of solder in there. That's all. You only need a very small amount just for it to stick, and that's it. That will do. So let's see what happens now. So I'll get that in there like that. Try and get that to stick. That's it. It's on there like that. I'll turn this off. There's a cover I can put over like that. Just stop me touching it by mistake. Okay, so we've got that on there now. Will it work? We don't know yet. So let's turn the power on. Put one on the spoon and one on the wheel. So touch both wheels and it should not work, which it doesn't. One on the spoon. Swap it round, one on the spoon and one on the wheel. Doesn't work, and on there it does. So now that's fully working on there. So backwards and forwards. We've now converted the 2-rail into a 3-rail. Very simple really. And then all we need to do is put it back together. And then what I'll do, I'll make another short video then of it running on the track so that you can just see it running. Okay, so that's that for today. Thank you very much.